Welcome back, everybody, to Hoops HD. It
Woohoo!
is our continuing coverage of the 2025-2026 season previews here in college basketball. We've got graphics, and we have reached the end of it. We have reached the fourth quarter.
No,
Uh,
this is the second half. Second half, not the fourth quarter. Get it
it
straight.
is. It's our West Coast
I
Conference
hate you.
preview. If you were looking for the American, the A10, or the Mountain West, check out up there somewhere on the website. But if you're here for the West Coast, grab a seat, grab a cup of coffee, stiff drink, whatever you need. I'm Chad Sherwood. We've got Matt Sikowski, John Salika, David Griggs, and John Teitel. And we are going to be talking WCC hoops for the next little few minutes here. Beginning with the team that we always begin with in the West Coast Conference, and just made a lot of off-court news with the hearing and another loss by the NCAA as Tyon Grant Foster is ruled eligible, wins his injunction, will play this season for the Zags, along with a pretty other good cast of characters here in Titel. What about the Zags this season?
Well, now that I don't have to mention the X factor, I will focus on the rest of the team. The one downside from last year is they only shot 35% from behind the arc, which I actually thought was pretty good. It was the worst during the Mark Few era, which probably says more about his previous teams, but that's something they definitely need to work on. One way to help that this year, they're getting back Steel Venters, who's been out most of the past, it seems like several years with injuries. I also wanted to make a note about metrics. So for those of you wondering which metric to focus on, I can tell you that this team was number 8 in the net, but they were also an 8 seed in the tournament. Why? Because net does not equal seed, but they were 35th in WAB, wins above bubble, which corresponds to an 8 seed. So when you're looking at metrics, WAB corresponds to seeds more than the net does. Moving on. They also had a second round loss to Houston, their earliest tourney exit in a decade. So they're going to try to get back to the second weekend this year, in large part due to conference tourney MVP Graham Ike. He was leading the conference last year with almost 60% shooting from the field. He's also a couple games away from 2,000 career points. As far as transfers, they bring in Adam Miller Jr. from Arizona State, who ironically played against the Zags in the tournament back in 2021 when he was at Illinois and they were in the COVID bubble together. And then Jalen Worley from Virginia. He actually committed to the Zags last November, so he spent all of the winter semester practicing with the team. So it's not going to be one of those things like where there's a steep learning curve from the transfer. He's been with them for almost a year now.
Yeah, well, Griggs, what are your thoughts on the Zags this year?
I mean, it's hard not to like them, and like them in a big way, not just to win the West Coast, but to be in the top 25, a potential protected seed level team. To give you a good idea of how good Gonzaga is, they won 27 games last year and they made the round of 32. And everyone's response to the season is, "Man, they're slipping. They're not their normal selves." If that's a down year for you, that's a hell of a down year. I think they're back in the second weekend. I think they're good enough to not. I think they're good enough to be a protected seed again, which is what they are.
And I'm going to pull their schedule up here. They do have a heck of a schedule here with Oklahoma, Creighton, Alabama, Maryland, another powerful team in the Players Era Championship round. Road game at Kentucky, UCLA neutral, Oregon neutral. It's a heck of a schedule.
Yeah, and they do this every year, and they're successful against it. And I love this because it's iron sharpens iron. And granted, they're not getting the showcase games in conference quite like a Power Five or Power Four team, I guess, does. But I mean, they they are going to be tested, and they're just so good. I mean, what a program!
Let me make one distinction, though, about the game against Kentucky. It's not going to be at Rupp Arena. It's actually going to be at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it is part of a 6-game series between Gonzaga and Kentucky, but I think there's only like true home games that each team is going to have in that series.
Okay.
Yeah. Matt, St. Mary's got some love in the preseason polls. Didn't actually get in there, but actually got some votes. Does Randy Bennett's squad have enough to make up for what they lost from last season?
Yes, they do. I'm taking a huge bet on Mikey Lewis. I think he's one of the best recruits they ever signed in the program. He had flashes his freshman year, especially in the Gonzaga games. I think he takes a big step up as one of the best players of the WCC, and then it helps lead the Gales back to the tournament.
All right, Titel, you agree with him?
Deals are for real. I definitely agree with them. The thing is, it's Mark Few's owned this conference for most of the 21st century, frankly. But Randy Bennett is the 4-time defending conference coach of the year and has won each of the last 3 conference regular season titles and has won an NCAA tournament game in 3 of the past 4 years. The Gales are not just for real, like they're great.
Yeah, and you think about that they have won the last 3 regular season titles. It has not been Gonzaga, believe it or not. I don't think most people realize that.
Yeah, last year, they won it outright.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Griggs,
Yes.
I'm also hearing a lot of this offseason love for San Francisco. Are you on the
Well,
Don's bandwagon?
You've been hearing a lot about them because you've been talking to Rocco a lot, and he
Well,
seldom
true.
talks about much else. But they won 25 games last year. I thought that some felt that they should have been in the NCAA tournament. They certainly had a case, and with what they have returning and I mean, they have 2 starters returning. They have a lot of guys that saw significant contributing minutes from the bench that can step into bigger roles. I know that they lost some key players, but I think that what they have coming back and what they've added, that this is an NCAA tournament team. I'm picking 3, and they're one of the 3 I'm picking. I bet you'll never guess who the other 2 are.
Well, we'll get to them at the end of the show when we get to like Pepperdine and stuff. But
it's a secret. Who I just
Matt, do you agree with him? With guys like Tyrone Riley there, and there's some talent here on this Don's team.
Oh yeah, I think they could be a tournament team as well. That they're part of my 3-bid WCC. I think another name to watch, Mookie Cook. He was a huge recruit when Oregon, like Dallas All-American level recruit. Didn't quite work out at Oregon. I think it works out at USF at this level here. And I think he's an all-conference player of the WCC.
Salika, how about Herb Sendek's team? How about Santa Clara?
Woo!
It's hard to believe that this is going to be Sendek's 10th season at Santa Clara. This has only been a program that's only been to, I think, 6 or 7 NCAA tournaments in their proud history. And this is a program that's had players like Steve Nash and Kurt Rambis as alumni. Now, they do have a pair of players who are going to be on the all WCC teams this year in Elijah Mahi and Thierry Darlin. Darlin is also going to be an interesting case study because this is a guy who I believe was born in the Central African Republic, was part of the NBA Africa Academy, had also spent some time in the G League before eventually getting a waiver to play in the or at least be eligible to play in the NCAA, since I guess he never played in the NBA proper. So we'll have to see how he does this year. Now, as far as some of their notable games, they're going to be going a true road game to Xavier. I don't know if that's going to be like a one-off or that's going to be part of a home-and-home series. They're going to be going out to Palm Desert in an exempt event with St. Louis in either Stanford or Minnesota in their second game. And they'll also have other notable games at New Mexico, at home against Nevada, a game against Arizona State and suburban Las Vegas, and also home games against North Texas and Loyola Chicago.
Do we want to address the G League issue or save that for another day?
Go ahead, Griggs. Do you want to address the G League? Address the G League.
Real quick, there's been a lot of
welcome to GLeagueHD.com.
Yes, G League HD. There's been a lot of confusion as to why this is happening, how this is happening. I'll tell you what I think is happening.
Say what is happening, yes, and then say why. Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, players that have played in the G League are suddenly declaring that they want to play in college and being declared eligible. I believe the reason for that is I don't know what their salary situation was, but if you played non-scholastic basketball after high school, it counts as a year of eligibility, but you don't necessarily forfeit your amateurism if your pay is less than $10,000 more than your necessary expenses, which is very loosely defined.
The number is about $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
And if you're from Africa, you can you can rack up a lot of necessary expenses and get through the clearinghouse. Now, had he played in the NBA, you can't rack up that many necessary expenses. But if you played in the G League, maybe you can.
Yeah, so these guys who played G League only are now coming back in. We'll see where all this goes, and maybe that'll be a good off-season topic at the end of the year as well. But let's go back to the WCC here. A few other teams. Titel, in their second of their 2 seasons in this conference, Oregon State, Wayne Tinkle's squad. I see anything out of them this year?
I don't. I do like Des White coming over from Missouri State. They also got Noah Ammenhauser from Coastal Carolina, Stephen Olowani from Southern Indiana. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of bids to steal for the Beavs.
Yeah, Matt, what about the other former Pac-12 team, Washington State?
Nah, I think it's just they've lost too much talent, losing the Kyle Smith to Stanford and that. And I think this year they're going to feel it even more than they did last year, and they're going to be middle of the pack to maybe even the bottom of the WCC.
Yeah. Salika, we have a new member of the WCC this year that is going to be sticking around. Also welcome above the radar, just like we did with the Lopes over in the Mountain West. How about Seattle finally getting the WCC bid? They've been wanting it for years.
Chad, we need the visual. We need the visual. Please rack that up while Stalika is talking.
Yeah, unfortunately for the WCC, they're not going to get Grand Canyon as a full-time member. But as far as Seattle, they've had some pretty respectable years in the WAC, but never able to get into the NCAA tournament, at least in their current.
Stalika, I'm sorry. What visual, Chad, in the chat here? The monstrosity in their arena. For those that haven't followed under the radar, they must see what is in Seattle's arena.
Okay.
What exactly you're talking about?
All right. Sorry. I'm sorry. Continue, Stalika. I interrupted you.
But I would say with Seattle's inclusion in the WCC now, they'll probably be playing some of their games in the Red Hawk Center, which seats below 1,000 people. But you're also going to be able to play a few more games at Climate Pledge Arena, formerly Key Arena, formerly the Seattle Supersonics home arena.
Go ahead, Griggs, make a few more comments. We got to buy me some time here.
Yeah, Seattle. If you haven't followed under the radar, Seattle has a very unique venue, a very unique home venue that has a very unique structure in it. That's what Chad is bringing up, and my theory is that this particular structure, you'll see it here in a second, not only predates the building I think they built the building around it, but I think they built the whole campus around it. And I have it on good authority that they built the entire city of Seattle around it. There it is. Like, look at that. That is just incredible. And it is no longer under the radar. There it is. That is just a phenomenal thing. It's the size of the building itself. There's no way to fit that thing through the door. They just had to build the arena around it.
That Elgin Baylor may be the most prominent alumnus, but I still think it's got to be Seattle U's biggest attraction. Right?
Yes, that's just a thing of beauty. And to think Gonzaga is going to be there.
For 1 year.
Are they going to, let's see, is Gonzaga going to have a road game? They will. January 17th at Seattle.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a few other teams here. Titel, you just had a chance to speak to Steve Lavin a few days ago. How about his team? How about his San Diego team this year?
I wish I could say nice things about the team because I think they're going to be struggling. But Lavin was very nice. I've actually been working with his SID for months, plural, trying to get him. And they said your best bet's going to be at Media Day on the Zoom. So I asked the guy at the WCC, I'm like, the SID said, can I talk to Lavin here? Like, I don't know if there's 10,000 other questions from other people, but if I can get him for 5 questions, that'd be great. And they let me, and he was very generous with his time and like super nice guy. That being said, I think he's going to need more than Tim Moore from NJIT, Dominic Ford from Southern Utah, and Tenari Lane from Georgia State to compete. Again, I think they're going to be a second-tier team, unfortunately. But thanks to Lav for his generous time.
Matt, we've got 4 other teams we haven't discussed: Loyola Marymount, Pacific, Portland, Pepperdine. Do you see anything in any of the 4 of them?
No, that's the one. I will say for Loyola Marymount, former Marquette assistant Stan Johnson, ace recruiter, but unfortunately, like everything on the Mojo staff, you can bring talent in, but it's what you do with the talent once you get it. And I think that's why I spent a little bit up and down for him at LMU and not going anywhere this year either, unfortunately.
Yeah, Griggs, Portland, Shante Leggins. He could be on the hot seat at this point.
Yes, his seat is already hot, I think.
Yeah. Pacific Stalica, Dave Smart's team. They got a player there in Elias Ralph, but I think you need at least 5 to win games, don't you?
Well, I mean, they'll at least be able to probably finish above the basement only because Pepperdine and Portland are going to be occupying it this year.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about Portland. I think any conference game they win might be an upset this season, but
Yes.
they are in the league. Let's run through each of you now with the questions we love to ask. Who's going to win the regular season title, and what team? How many teams are going to make the field? If so, and I'm going to go ahead and name what teams those are, and any other final thoughts you may have on the league. And Tytel, I'm going to start with you on this conference.
I have them as a two-bid league with the Zags and St. Mary. I think it's the Zags conference to win, much like the Mountain West was with the Aztecs. I understand the San Francisco love, and I am not gonna tell you that Rocco doesn't know what he's talking about because he loves his Dons and they're good. I just don't think they can have enough to get over the hump this year. So I think it's going to be 2 and only 2. As far as a fun fact, going back to Pepperdine, they had such a rough year on the court, but I think that was a direct result of the tough year off the court due to the Palisades fire. They averaged 571 fans per game last year. You can't build a environment that's hostile to opponents when you can't even get 600 people to show up because those people are rebuilding their lives after a wildfire. So I'm certainly sending all the good vibes their way to Malibu, and hopefully things have calmed down this year and they can get a much greater home court advantage for the Pepperdine Waves.
Well, I don't know, Tytel. I'd argue that you do build a hostile environment where there's literally flames around the building that you can't get in there.
Not bad, Chad.
Wow.
Not bad.
That
You know what? I would go real bold here. I'm picking San Francisco to win the regular season. I really like that roster and the one thing I didn't speak up much. I don't love Gonzaga's mix this year. I think with their schedule, they'll win enough to get in the tournament. And I also think St. Mary's gets into them. I'll say St. Mary's goes to Dayton. I think San Francisco has one of their best years since Bill Russell was there and that. And I think now that they're in, and if they're going to win the WCC, they're going to be something like a 7 or 8 seed.
all
Yeah,
right.
they've been as high as a 9 seed in very recently when Golden was there. Yeah.
Stalika.
Gonzaga usually dominates the WCC tournament, but the thing is, St. Mary's has actually won the regular season outright back-to-back years. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull the three-peat this year, but I do think, St. Mary's and Gonzaga probably going to be locks. I'll probably say they're going to be co-champions this year with Gonzaga getting an edge for the tournament. I don't think the Dons are going to make the NCAA tournament this year, but next year with Zags being gone, I think their window is going to open up a little bit more. But I don't see, as far as my final thought, I don't see the WCC going completely under right here just because St. Mary's and San Francisco should at least consistently give the conference a chance to get multiple bids and could potentially give Santa Clara a brief window to potentially get an at-large bid themselves or possibly win the WCC tournament with Gonzaga no longer in the picture.
Actually, I would say I'd look out for Loyola Marymount as another team that could move in. We're talking to next year with Gonzaga and Washington State, Oregon State out of the picture. But I'm personally am going 2 bids also. I gave 4 to the Mountain West. I got a takeaway bid somewhere. I'm taking away a bid from this league. I am going with the Zags to win it. My second team is San Francisco. I am not on the St. Mary's bandwagon this year. If they did get in, I think they'd be going to Dayton. I think Matt said that also. But I think that this year's the year they take a step back. Griggs, what about you?
I think it's a 3-bid league, and I don't see. I don't. My first question is for my final thought: like, who's leaving Gonzaga? Is Oregon State and Wazoo? Is it just those 3?
Yes. That's my
Okay,
understanding.
so you kind of while that is definitely the right move for those programs, it's a step up is in competition and probably media money and in that you you kind of hate to think that we're not going to see Gonzaga St. Mary's playing home and home. You're not going to see Gonzaga San Francisco. That's been a really fun atmosphere and series recently, but I still think that it's better overall. So, I mean, I don't know if they'll stay over the radar or not. As far as this year, I don't think anybody else other than Gonzaga, St. Mary's, or San Francisco can even make a run at the bubble, much less get inside of it. And you start to wonder when you look at how this is going to play out, is anybody going to beat those three teams other than those three teams? And maybe somebody will sneak up and get St. Mary's or Frisco. I don't think anybody's going to get Gonzaga. And that's why I think they're going to win it and be a protected seed with the Dons and St. Mary's getting inside the bubble.
I also want to add one other footnote for next year. UC San Diego is going to be the 10th member of the WCC, so you're going to have some crosstown action with San Diego and UCSD to also consider for the following season as well.
I did not. I'd forgotten that, or if I ever knew it in the first place. That's interesting.
Yeah, I did know. That's
Yeah.
a nice ad for them.
Well, on that note, I do want to thank everybody for joining us. We've hit the final TV timeout, or are we actually at the end of the quarter here, end of the fourth quarter? Game is
It
over.
was the second half.
Salika's got the quarters
Like
right
two
there
half.
for us. If you're looking for the American, the A10, or the Mountain West, check out up there somewhere on the website. But this has been our West Coast Conference preview. We'll be back again tomorrow night with our Under the Radar preview. We're going to have 22 quarters to get through tomorrow night. That's going to be a tough
Yeah.
one. But on behalf of Matt Zukowski, John Salika, John Teitel, David Griggs, I'm Chad Sherwood. Thanks for joining us. We'll be talking to you again real soon.